Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Absolute Vodka 80 here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's the Absolute Atlanta race. Will be the first running of it. We're about ready to get the commands to fire up the engines here. We have the FARCA race. Crowd wars as we get these things started away. 27 cars are here ready to rumble. That Dodge Challenger pace car is leading them off pace for Payette Road. I am joined here with Connor and Absoulute.
Hello.
Right, some nice new scenes we got here on the racetrack today. We'll go through the field. Somebody who's on pole who hasn't been there in a while. We have Todd Castillo and then Lordco 99 alongside Mr. Bambura and his money line 72. Previous race winner starts in third. That is Sanderson 36 alongside Miss Johnson and her 27. Mr. Arnold Dodge, Douglas, and the number 10 Big Red starts right alongside of him. Mr. Big Man and Benjamin Tom starting behind them in the 8 and 9. Gebron in the 12. Starts alongside Kyle Keith and Jalen Lear, and starting alongside Miss Murray. And that'll end off your top 10. Wait for that pace car. He'll be ducking down here. We can start off the beginning of this race. Here's the restart zone by first data. They are hitting the green flag, and they will head down to turn number 1. Already 3 wide, few lanes back.
Looks like Todd is going to take the early lead here.
That'll be very good. Easily get that extra bonus point. That'll help him out definitely big time. Well, but maybe he'll get challenged for that first lap lead. Very close to that was figured by him.
And there's last week's winner, Joey Sanders, in the 36, trying to take the lead away with some help from Big Man.
Very good effort for him. Big Man had a transmission failure last week at Dover, running very strong, already inside the top 5.
Dodge is looking like the manufacturer to beat this week with three of their cars up in the top 5.
One from MANCO Motorsports, 2 of them coming from Western Auto Racing. That is Johnson and Douglas running the race and well up there at front. We have 2 Fords. That is going to be also the 72 of Bambura out of Best in the World Racing, and of course Gebron, who won at Daytona. The field continues to hang on to it.
Sanders.
Wow, it dive bombed into that corner. Freaking Big Man just rode that corner out and gained 2 positions.
He's trying to get the lead now.
Look at that.
Look, he's underneath Todd.
Like he just flipped a switch and that car became a totally different car. They were scored together as they came across the line. A 1/10 of a second is what judged that one. And he is now your new race leader. The first time he'll be out lead this entire season.
Yeah, he was having a great run last week until that transmission failure when he was running second.
There you go. He'll lead his first lap of the season. That he needs every single bonus point he can possibly get to recuperate from all of those as well. But of course, a win would eliminate that problem.
I believe coming into this race, he was actually last in points of the full-time drivers.
He indeed was. He had the Ford finishing position at Daytona, and the first car to fail out of the race at Dover. It hurt him tremendously.
It's 3 wide further in the back.
I did notice that we have 3 Dodges all side by side. Both of the Atlanta Motorsports cars, the Langolier. Oh, wow. Almost looked like the 21 had hit the wall there. And then the 3 wide for the lead. That is Sanders trying to now lead this race as he comes out across in the front stretch. Still 3 wide behind him with Castillo in the middle.
It looks like the 27 car is going to follow the 36.
R.B. Johnson behind the 21. She is also in the Dodge for Western Auto Racing. 79 got in the wall there. That was a Mesto further back in the field.
Osborne, the 79.
My bad. Thank you for correcting me. Austin Yoakum, he's still hanging in there. Only 2 races into this season, but he has definitely shown he is worthy.
Yeah, he got a top 10 finish. Last week finishing 6th, barely missing out on the top 5. But, you know, this is his second career race, and he seems to know what he's doing, especially in a car that, I mean, technically underfunded.
A fantastic job for him this week with 3 wide again. This time, Kyle Keith, where did he come from?
And Big Rain trying to take the lead.
And a nice, strong pack of cars. No bunching out in this race.
3 of the 4 manufacturers have all led a lap so far this race. Ford, the only one not to.
The closest Ford that would even be able to get a shot right now, that is Kenny Lambeau, Investable Racing, and his Money Lion 72. His teammate Spencer Davis, a very strong Ford car, is also starting to work his way through the field. So let's not be violent about this either. There is a Toyota lingering in the top 10 now. That would be Caitlin, who won the pre-race earlier this year.
Spencer Davis, current points leader after 2 races, even without a win. His finishes have been both 2 top 5 finishes so far.
Consistency is a major help, and it's definitely showing he will continue to make that thrive. There's been plenty of drivers to make into championship chases before without a win. He can certainly do that the way he's been driving.
Dodge running 1-2 right now.
Sanders and his Toyota, he's been really consistent, still in the 3rd position. Johnson has moved into the 2nd spot in her Dodge. See a lot of damage on the driver's side of her car. I wonder if she got in the wall, maybe had some contact with another car.
Probably going 3 wide at some point.
As they were, that was back when she was alongside of Castillo's car. I wonder if maybe he's got some damage on his driver's side.
Looks like 3 wide further back in the pack as the leaders kind of spread out a little bit.
And right here, it seems like there's quite a battle to try and get inside the top 10. The driver trying to progress his way through. That is another Meyer Toyota car. That is a 51. That is Pritchard and his Bang Energy Toyota.
The cotton candy mobile, as you like to call it.
Yes, the sweetest car on the racetrack. Damage to the side of Lednier's car. That's where he was in the wall earlier.
Even though with a little bit of damage, you can still be fast around here.
Definitely looks like you need some help, though. I haven't seen one of these cars be able to have to make their way around. However, yeah, she's still behind her. Hasn't been able to really move it forward. Her family member, though, that would be her father, is moving right behind her, that 87. We have all 3 Western Auto Racing cars inside the top 5 right now.
With one of the MANCO cars currently leading the race.
How about that? We only have 1 other manufacturer inside the top 5. I spoke to Cena. Ford is trying to peek his way in. Spencer Davis.
He's trying to keep his streak of top 5 going so far this year.
Interesting line. The 36 was kind of split between the 87 and 27 there. That could have been nasty. And further back, look who has peeked himself in. That is the 51 car, is now inside the top 10.
And a driver who really doesn't get talked about a lot is the number 5 Napa car right there.
Yeah, look at that. He has actually moved himself up quite a bit. As things are starting to even themselves out a bit, take advantage to a great track like this with some awesome cameras. We're going to let it get nice and loud, and let's hear these cars go. Turning you guys right back in here under lap 20. Big Man is still your leader. However, the 87, who has worked his way back from the high teens of the starting position, is now all the way up to second. That is Louis McLaren's Western Auto Dodge.
Spencer Davis looking underneath him.
It'll be great to see him try and go for his first win of the season. It's kept it pretty tight. Western Auto Racing still holding on to their top 5 of the entire team. Pretty damn impressive effort from the Dodgers this week. They have been dominant.
For the top 5 is currently Dodge.
Spencer tried to really drive it in deep that corner, but that cost him towards the middle. That's going to allow Mr. towards kind of peek towards the inside.
And right there, sneaking up in 6th place is Brett Pritchard.
And that car really stands out apart from our mostly red field. Let's talk about the guy who started in last. That is the number 35, who just pulled around the 36. This guy started dead last today. That is a great effort from that team.
Timmy Weathers, teammate to the number 36 Supreme Motorsports.
I wonder if he's running his old engine today, because, man, that's quite some power to be able to get through the entire field, especially at the distance that it is now of 8 seconds.
Here comes Pritchard.
I was going to check our lap times right now. It looks like the number 24 car and the 5 car, both are in the same team, have scored the fastest laps of today's race.
2 of the 3 Keith Motorsports cars, with Kyle Keith and the 42, the owner.
That's a name we don't talk about much. There he is, riding in the 7th position, right underneath Pritchard. Very crucial moment is coming up. We are approaching the pit window. This is what can change up everything. Dodgers are out front 1 minute. You can see Chevy's leading the next. There goes Luis to the inside, trying to go for that leading position. Fairly close to the quarter panel of Man's car.
Here comes the 30 again. Trying to get second off the 87.
We talk about the car that's sneaking up right behind him. Check this guy out, man. And the 5 car. Now into top 5.
Trying to break up that Dodge train that we had going on earlier. We now have one of every manufacturer up near the top 5 or in the top 5 now.
Much nicer and more evened out. Fighter around to the outside. Here comes our first car. Short pitting is the 51. Keith behind him as well as Castile. Looks like Ernesto, Bombera, Evan Coward, Lane, or is that, I can't tell.
That's Campbell.
And then Meyer right behind him. Meyer with some interesting damage towards that back quarter panel. As the next round comes in, it's going to be Mann, Davis. The rest of the entirety of the top 10 is all coming in for the pits. Procrastination stays out as well as Yoakum, and then the rest of the cars will follow suit from the 36 back to the number 1. Gabron trailing. What happened to Gabron? He was doing so well.
He ended up in the backpack pretty much with the 93, the 29. Just kind of fell off.
We monitor pit road to see if any sort of incidents go on.
Looks like long stops for the 99 and the 72.
Sure was. They were down there for quite a while. They lost a good amount of position.
Maybe they're trying to make a run to the end, packing in as much fuel as they can.
We'll see as Yoakum and Crasta are now on pit road. Smooth entry for Crasta. Yoakum really needs to watch out for cars exiting right here. Nice and easy. I believe Mann is scored right now as the leader. Maybe a little bit different as they come up towards the line. Looks like, wow, and that's where pit strategy comes into play. Like we talked about with short pitting. Pritchard leading the race. Came down all by himself, currently leading.
He's going to start lapping some cars.
No surprise, he ran so hard at Daytona, and he has struggled these past 2 races.
But I mean, he has the win to help him out. Maybe they're just testing out a few things.
You know, we've heard drivers talk about this stuff in the NASCAR Cup Series too, where they get that win, and that lets them just be comfortable for the rest of the season, and then they just put their focus towards the chase races. And that's not a bad strategy.
Especially not this early. You know, you win the first race of the year, you got a bunch of races to kind of play with, see what works, see what doesn't work.
Save your equipment.
And here comes Mann for the lead.
Very closely scored. Looks like Pritchard pretty much just kind of let him on by. Wasn't going to argue for that spot, but we're still with about 20 laps to go. That's not a bad choice. Oh, and wow, man just smacked the wall, leaving that corner. Probably got a little too excited and overdrove it. A little bit of fender damage there, nothing too bad. Behind them, again, is the driver who started again dead last, and he is inching his way. I've been watching on every lap. He's about half a tenth closer. So there's still some very evident speed in this car, and catching up to LeBron like this is only going to help him continue to pursue that. And then coming up on some lappers racing 2 wide, that will be Caitlin and Gunderson side by side.
Two cars that ran pretty decent early on in the race, but just don't seem to have the setup quite right. They fell off pretty quickly.
We heard from the 92 team that she had a vibration in the left rear, and that's what caused them to slow down. They were just waiting until the pit window. That way they didn't have to worry about going a lap down. At a point like that, it's better to just focus on not wrecking the car and just keeping the thing under control. Just one of those things that happens. She's got plenty of races to go, and somebody who definitely proved before in the past she can get it done.
And man, trying to put his teammate a lap down.
I'm surprised he just let him go on by. It's allowed Pritchard to catch up, and as well as the 35, while these two lap cars go side by side. That's going to kind of shake things up a little bit up here. NASCAR waving that blue and yellow flag to those drivers to get the hell out of the way. The 8 just about pushing the 92 through the corner. That's going to box him in. That's not a good spot to be in. Pritchard doesn't know where to go.
This is just allowing the 35 to catch back up.
What's crazy is these are both teammates to both of these drivers.
Now it looks like Man is going to get around both of them.
51 trying to work his way around Gunderson. 92 trying to hold up the 8 as much as she can to help out a teammate.
Teammates trying to help teammates right there.
That is how it's supposed to be. Look at that block Gunderson just put on the 51. And all while that happens, here's the 35 and the 12.
12 is a lap down, just trying to get some more position, more points.
He's pretty much been working with the 35. 35, a fellow Toyota, is going to want to get up around that Dodge leading this race. We are approaching the 10 laps to go mark. And by the way, Gunderson got that halfway leading mark. That is another bonus point that he needed. Remember, not Gunderson, big man. Trying to make another pass towards usually the exit of this corner is where he gets blocked. 35 is kind of stuck there. And 51 may be backing off to try and let the other Toyota have at it. Not a bad call strategy-wise. After all, it is your own team.
The one got around the 8 again, not sure why.
I would just say that's the cause of dirty air. Here comes the 12.
12 to move a lap back.
He'll be the first car lap down now. And that puts the 35 to the second spot. He's currently underneath the 51. Crazy if he wins. Worst to first. What a story from that underfunded team. 2 races won and a worst to first finish.
2 races by the same team. 36 won last week from the pole.
Trying again, Big Man is trying to get his way back around the 1. They're not concerned about the 92 at this point. They're just trying to hold their own ground, and they have that little buffer there with LeBron.
Yeah, the 8's just trying to keep a car between him and the 51.
And you see them, look at them working together. They're pushing each other down the backstretch.
Still not enough, though.
It is not. Gabon now trying to make his way again. Puts the 51 right to the bumper. What's unfortunate is that shows how strong of a car Gabon would be if he was in the draft. Especially how much he struggled earlier. Right while these guys dig out a little bit, we have a mid-pack. The 30 is running in fourth with the 87 right behind him. Another round that changed up quite a bit later. Johnson managed to get himself into the top 10. 36 is still up there. We got the Team Motorsports cars racing up here as well. Yoakum rounding out the top 10, 93, and 29. Both did a fantastic job of working their ways back around.
But pit stops helped those two cars a lot because they were both running in the very back.
Big time, man. That's good pit strategy. They probably took 2 tires and made that gamble, and that gamble is paying off. Look at 5 trying to pick a line. He doesn't know where he wants to go. Straight to the inside of the 93. And we did have a failure reported that is the 63 procrastination had a camshaft fail. So that's unfortunate for him. If we jump back to our race, we have a new leader going through the corner. 51 dived in and took the lead of the race. That is Brett Pritchard in his Cotton Candy Rain Energy Toyota. With 4 laps to go, can Big Man get back around him? Can the 35 catch up?
You know, it depends on how and where they catch these lap cars again. Because they are really just in the way of these leaders.
Really, really out there. You can see how close he is to the right behind him. He lets him cut to the inside. So it's quite the line. This will be interesting right here. The 51's crowded to the outside of the 12. But wow, he was able to really keep it through the center. Look at the amount of position he was able to move around. That is fantastic for him. Well, trying to block him, but he put the right to the quarter panel, moved him out of the way. Caitlin moving to the outside, that way she can block the one car and let him continue to go by.
Looks like it's just not going to be enough to get around the one.
I noticed the Dodges really can power through the entry of the corners here at this track. However, you can't beat the center speed that Toyotas can maintain. You got 2 to go coming to the line. The 35 is trying to get past the 8 car. Regardless of how things end, this has been a great run for that 8 car today.
Especially, you know, after the upset of last week, running second, having that failure to come back today and I think lead the most laps.
I believe he did as well. We'll see here right at the end of this. The white flag has been shown.
Richard's got a 2-car gap on him.
He's done quite a job. He's right there behind his own teammate in the 92. A very slow pack approach, and that would have had quite an impact on this race if we had an extra 2 laps.
Castile or pole sitter.
Even at 93 is going quite slow. That car is really off pace. Congratulations to the 51. That is going to be his first win of the season. That's Brett Pritchard. I believe that's also that team's first win, too. Another win for Toyota.
Toyota wins 2 in a row. Not in quite the dominant fashion as it was last week, but definitely to go back to back.
There's those two red, white, and blue cars. That is MANCO Motorsports. Thor tried really hard to keep those Toyotas away from him. Good job for Big Man coming in second today. And, of course, the 35, who started dead last, finishes third.
Supreme Motorsports put all their cars in the top 10, it looks like.
Another great finishing for that entire team. Another one we have up here, best in the world, Spencer Davis.
And welcome back, Team
5.
Motorsports, with Justin Osborne and Ryan DeLusso both finishing in the top 10.
They're able to sneak their way up there. Yoakum again getting another top 10.
Spencer Davis keeps his streak alive of top 5.
36 finished at 6. Another MANCO car, the 28 of Bigbert Johnson, finished 7th. Meyer, the teammate of the winner, finished 11th. That 5 car finishes 12th. I think that's the highest he's finished so far. Coward, who was down in the high 20s, the midway point of this race, able to race himself up in his new body armor car up to 14th. Langlayer, with all his damage, rounded out the top 15. And somebody who was up at the top of the race all race long, finished 17th, that was Miss Johnson. And what happened to be our fastest car in the race finishes 19th, number 24.
Just shows you how good track position is.
Definitely a huge demand, and even number 12, who was racing so hard towards the end, finished 26th, third car a lap down in the race. Again, unfortunate for procrastination to get up that camshaft failure. That right there is going to conclude the Absoulute Atlanta 80. We had a great race, 49 laps here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. No wrecks. Once again, we stay caution-free. Haven't had a single wreck, which, I mean, I guess you can. I guess it could be a good thing. But we've had some great racing still. This was another great race that was put on by a pit strategy. Short pit ended up being the race win tonight for the Toyota Racing team. What else did you see out there today? We had a good race.
It was definitely a good race. Another, kind of manufacturer-dominated race with Dodge leading a lot of the laps before the 51 came and won it. And so next week, it's Chevy's turn to lead everything.
What's crazy is you see Dodge and Toyota battling and duking it out, yet the team that hasn't been totally up there besides Daytona, which is the Fords, have been the most consistent cars. So we will find out more about that going into our next race. Where are we headed to?
Tornado 75 at Kansas Speedway.
That will be a fantastic and a very appropriate sponsor for heading to a track like Kansas. This is a very popular race on the ARCA, what used to be our season finale, going to our 4th race of the season. Before we hit our first night race, that'll be at Bowman Gray, a very nice and small, short track. I think for sure we will have a wreck at Bowman Gray, so if you guys like those wreck fests, we got one coming up for in a few weeks, so that'll be all we have time for tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed another race. Points should be up soon, and we'll get ready for those night races here in the next few weeks. So thank you guys for joining us. Me and Connor, we're just signing off.